Hey everyone, Daniel Van Horn here. In the last video module, we learned how to walk through a average chord chart, how to understand certain chords on that chart. And in this video module, I'm going to take your boring chords and we're going to add some spicy peppers to them. So without further ado, let's jump on in. We're going to take a look at the same song from our last video module called Holy Forever by Chris Tomlin. Assuming you feel comfortable with how these chords are voiced. If you don't, please go to the other video and understand what does it mean to have a G sus, what does it mean to have an F2, that kind of thing. So now that we have that foundation built, I'm going to show you one of my favorite tricks on how to make your chords go next level while at the same time making it easier on yourself. How cool does that sound? So once again, we're in the key of C major. And I do this trick a lot with some of my students, and I call it anchoring and coloring. Well, what does an anchor do? An anchor holds down the boat so it doesn't move, it doesn't ever move. And so whatever key I'm in, which for this song would be the key of C major, I like to anchor on what I believe are the strongest notes in any key. So that'd be the first note, sometimes the second note, but for this example, the first note and the fifth note. Kind of like a lazy C major triad, but without the middle finger, so a C fifth. I'm calling this our anchor point, all right? My philosophy, everybody, is that these two notes pair really well with every other bass note in the key of C. So for example, it just works. It sounds really, really nice. Once you get bored of that, I start adding extra notes. I call this anchoring and coloring these notes in between my thumb and pinky, or what I call the color notes. You got your second note, third note, and fourth note. So here's your C major, this is option 1. C sus2 is option 2, using the second degree, which also sounds really great with all the bass notes. You get the idea. And then option 3 would be C sus4, so using the fourth note in between our anchor. Now this is a little unconventional. Most worship leaders or piano players, they're going to do something like this. 1,000 generations falling down in worship, right? We talked about in the last video. For an anchoring exercise, I'm going to do the same thing and watch what happens. 1,000 generations falling down in worship. Now what did I do? I did a C sus4 by myself in the right hand, but if you watch the left hand, this is now called an F sus2. Why? Because this chord is technically just an inverted version of an F sus2. Or if they want us to play an F major add 2, which has the A, but they're not the boss of me. We can do whatever we want. We're artists. So I did a C sus4, but while the F is in my left hand, technically, and I'll prove it to you, my software says it's still an F sus2 chord. It's inverted. Isn't that cool? So that was one of our colorful options. And if it helps, I can keep this little chord window right there. Hopefully that helps. 1,000 generations falling down in worship. We're still anchoring. I haven't moved my left hand, my right hand thumb or my right hand pinky. Super cool so far. You can kind of see where we're going with this. Here's A minor. Sing the song of ages. Oh my gosh, would you look at that? It's an A minor 7 and I still haven't moved my right hand. Why is it an A minor 7? As soon as my A comes present, G is 7 notes away from A. You can kind of see how this anchoring trick is very sneaky. It actually makes the chords that they're asking for on the chord chart, but I still haven't done that much work to deserve it, you know? Just kind of keeping my right hand right there. Sing the song of ages. There's another one. C sus2 by itself in my right hand, one of our 3 colorful options, right? But if you add the left hand on G, once again, there's G sus4 hiding in the middle, aka G sus. Sometimes they forget to write the 4 there. And then back to F2. Now, if I want to make this an official F major add 2, I keep my C sus4, my anchor, and my color chord. That's what we're calling it. But they want us to add an A. So now we officially have an F major add 2. Really pretty. And what I'm doing is I just move my thumb down to that A. So you've kind of been given my exposure to what it means to anchor and color. That's what I'm calling it. And you're gonna get so many cool voicings if you keep practicing this way. It's not saying you have to stay there, but it is a really safe way to kind of build some confidence if you're trying to spice up some of your chords. Maybe you're trying to sing and play at the same time. But what I like about it is you just don't have to move very far and you get really pretty chords. Once again, here is our pre-chorus. Your name is the highest. Your name is the greatest. Your name stands above them all. You can even just do F sus2 if you want to. Technically, it is still applying the 2, just without the major third. Doesn't really matter. Once again, these are our paintbrushes. The piano's our canvas, and the chord chart is kind of more like recommendations. They're not gonna sue us if we don't add that A right there. All right, let's keep moving on. All right, let's take a look at the C over E. In other words, top over bottom. If we have our anchor, I already kind of have a C on top, so E on the bottom. That's what that looks like, C over E. And in the last video, I talked about how you can color up your C chord if you wanted to. There's one of our color options, as we've talked about. There's a C major, add 2 over E, super pretty. In other words, a C suspended 2 chord over E as a bass note. If you take your thumb in the right hand and you drop it down to another G, it's very warm and welcoming, it's really pretty. So you'd have something like this. All creation, and the angels cry, holy. Here it comes. I'm gonna basically keep this shape with my right hand and then move my left hand down to E octaves. All creation cries, holy. Okay, so now we just ended up on a fancy A minor 7, 4 in parentheses. What does that mean? Well, we didn't move my anchor. If I play a C over A, technically it's an A minor 7 right there. You kind of have to visualize it right hand over left hand. In other words, just do less work and you still get really cool chords. But what happens when I add the 2 right there? D is 4 notes away from A, and if I choose to make my colorful option in the right hand a C sus2 chord, if I put A in the left hand, I now have A minor 7 with the 4th note away from A. It's pretty cool. That's not on the chord chart, Daniel. Yes, but we're artists, okay? We're making art. It's very pretty. Sometimes I'll even add an E. I just did a lesson on Instagram recently where I added the B, so now you have an A minor 9 with an 11th. That's crazy pants. So basically, endless options, okay? We're artists. We can make up super cool chords while still not leaving our anchor point. It's pretty cool. Sometimes I'll just add notes out of creativity and see how many cool voicings I can get. It's very fun. D minor 7 while we're anchoring, I'm gonna use my C sus4 option, put D in my bass, and look at what we get. We get a really pretty D minor 7 because the distance between these 2 notes is 7. And the distance between D and G is a 4th, kind of like we did earlier with the A minor 7. It's called the D minor 7 with a 4. It's a very pretty chord. So in context, it sounds like this. All creation cries, holy, you are lifted high. So pretty, right? Oh. So here, if I want to keep my anchor point, technically my closest option would be a G sus4. If you just drop this C down to B, you now have a G major natural. It's hiding right there in the middle. So all this to say, the anchoring and coloring world that I do in my right hand is merely a suggestion to build some confidence on transitions from chord to chord. It is kind of a philosophy that lets us get really cool chord flavors while still maintaining just a really simple pattern, I guess, really simple structure. So once again, in recap today, we have gone through roughly the first page and we've established that you can get all of these chords and then some really cool flavors, all by just keeping your thumb on C and your pinky on G, choosing between C sus2, C major, C sus4, and then finding what combination of one of those chords matches whatever bass note you're doing in the left hand. Sometimes I'll add one extra flavor before I even move my left hand to the next chord. For instance, it could be 1,000 generations, right? Right before I go to the F2, for instance. So I've now snuck a couple extra colorful chords. So this is my approach. I hope it helps. Once again, it's not exactly what they're asking us to do, but I do think that you can still accomplish every single one of those chords on the chord chart while doing this anchoring technique. And when you get very comfortable with this, then you can go ahead and leave the anchor, come back to your favorite positions for the rest of the song, and then maybe go back to the anchor for like bigger moments, when like brighter moments in the chorus, right? Dynamics is a word we use to describe like the highs and lows of energy. So sometimes I'll leave the anchor, I'll come down low, say for a lower moment, 1,000 generations, and then for say a brighter, bigger moment, dynamically, maybe I'll join the anchor, my anchor, up here for say a pre-chorus or a chorus, right? All the angels cry, versus being just down here, right? It's a little bit brighter. Oopsie. So I hope that makes sense. It's more just a suggestion. I hope that helps. It is a great little tool to brighten up your chords, to simplify your transitions, and to build some confidence. So once again, I'm Daniel Van Horn. You can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You'll find some piano lessons on there as well as some other funny content. And that's it for today. You all take care.